Hello, welcome to GLN's News. Senator Alli Ndume, a member of the All Progressives Congress representing Borno South in the Senate, has raised concerns over the management of funds borrowed by the President Bola Tinubu-led administration. In the heart of Nigeria, the cries of the common people grow louder each day. The roads, broken and forgotten. Commuters risk their lives daily on pothole-filled highways. Hospitals are either understaffed or without basic supplies, turning into places of hopelessness instead of healing. Parents are pulling their children out of school, not because they want to, but because they simply can't afford the rising school fees. Once lively classrooms are growing empty, while young dreams are slowly fading.
Whether you are a middle class, upper class, or lower class, all is not well. I know how much I spend a week to assist people. My children are not in school. They cannot pay. There is no social services. There is no social anything in this country. The medical area is not working. The way by which they landed this state of emergency issue was absolutely unconstitutional. Was there violence in Rivers State? What was there in Rivers State? The constitution is clear. And the Rivers now, a young man is there. So I just read, I don't know, that he wants to carry his own budget to the National Assembly. A load of trash. Carry your own budget to National Assembly? That's an illegality. What has that, as well as
The youth took to the streets to protest against the hardships they were facing.
What are we saying? Heavy power! What are we saying? Heavy power! Heavy power!
The Nigerian government recently approved an increase in the national minimum wage from 30,000 naira, around £15, to 70,000 naira, approximately £35 per month. However, many state governors have yet to begin implementing the new wage. Nigeria is facing one of its most severe economic crises in decades. President Tinubu has consistently called on citizens to tighten their belts as part of his economic reform agenda, which includes the removal of fuel subsidies and the devaluation of the naira, measures that have significantly eroded the purchasing power of ordinary Nigerians. Meanwhile, as families grapple with rising food prices and financial hardship, lawmakers continue to enjoy lavish allowances and acquire expensive SUVs, showcasing fleets of luxury vehicles worth billions of naira, all funded by taxpayers. Senator Ndume revealed that President Tinubu has borrowed approximately $9.45 billion, equivalent to $13 trillion. He noted that a significant portion of these funds has not been directed toward infrastructure projects and further alleged that some of the loans were obtained without Senate approval. Let's hear from Senator Ndume.
2023, $500 million was borrowed for women program to scale up what they call MPWPS. Can you see that? Can Nigerians see it? Where are the women? Then on June 23rd, the same day, $800 million was borrowed to cushion the impact of high petrol prices after fuel subsidy removal. How? Where? Then on September 23rd, 2003, under the same government, $700 million was borrowed again for Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment. Then, on December 23rd, the same thing, $750 million borrowed through what they call renewable energy scale-up. Then June 24th, 2024, 1.5 billion was borrowed to support Nigeria's reform for equality that must come before the National Assembly for approval. These are the things that the government is anticipating to spend, but that is not to say that even if it is approved, it is a blanket approval. No. We need to ask questions. How are you going to do that? How is it important? And when is the money? What are the terms? All these things are supposed to be discussed first before you engage in it. That is the National Assembly approval. But as I said, when you total these borrowings, the figure I got here is about $9.45 billion, which translates to about 13 trillion. And as I said, I mentioned most of them. These are items that are either intangible, those items are not, it has nothing to do with infrastructure. I would have supported, for example, that the country is borrowing even more than that to build our infrastructure. Are you going to tell my child, am I going to tell my child or grandchildren that we borrowed 700 million and we are paying in 20, 30 years for adolescent girls initially have enough human capital that we need to tap? I'm a bona fide member of APC. In fact, one of those that signed onto the initial formation of APC. And Nigeria is my country, and as I said, I don't have any. I'm 65. I thank God for my life. These people shouting about 2027, they don't believe in God. Because 2027 is a year ahead, and we don't know whether Ndume is going to be alive then or even the president. And they are busy, president, and they are busy shouting about 2027. Now, we have not finished with the mandate. We are just 2 years. In fact, until next month, the president is not 2 years old. And you are talking about 2027. Let him finish. By the time the president is performing very well and Nigerians are happy, nobody will come and start talking about competing with Mr. President. It will be automatic. But as it is now, they keep on talking nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Because, as I said, three things will determine whether this government is going to succeed or not. One is security. Two is welfare of its citizens. And three is related to the welfare of the economy itself. If it is not performing, then you can go and be talking nonsense. It will not work. Alli Ndume, God created me differently, and I'm going to account for my actions. If everything is to go the way I want, there would have been only one person in the Senate, and that's me. But that is not. So we have 109 of us, different senatorial districts. I have the support of the people, including my colleagues. The only difference is that they can't come out and take the bullet.
Rivers State Sole Administrator announced the appointment of administrators for the 23 local government areas across the state. This development came despite a pending case at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, which is seeking to halt the appointments until the court delivers its verdict. The court has not yet issued a ruling on the restraining order. The announcement has triggered mixed reactions, shock and protest from some quarters, and celebration from others. A lawyer, Mr. Frank, has got this to say about the action of the sole administrator.
Legality begets illegality until there is a correction by the person who has the power to do it, in this case the president. The concept of a sole administrator is strange and unknown to Nigerian constitution, and it's important that we remind the brilliant and exceptional advisors of our president that these things must go according to law. Section 1 of the Nigerian Constitution says that no part of the federation, the whole federation, and no part of it, no person can take over the federation or any part of it, except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. So, as we speak, Rivers State has been taken over by a sole administrator that is unknown to law. In previous cases, whether in Williams and Majekudumi, that attempted to define the powers of a president, the courts always withdrew, saying that it's a matter that has to do with the president. But what does the president do when nobody challenges actually his powers to declare a state of emergency, but the appointment of a personality unknown to law. And while Nigerians are grappling with that, the said personality, which is operating as an illegal personality, now goes ahead to take decisions that are supposed to be political. Whereas it's in the news, I haven't verified it. Whereas for certain reasons, monies that are accruable to Rivers State were seized by the federal government based on an order of the court, the Supreme Court. Yeah, and then that's for an elected governor. So on what basis should an unelected personality unknown to the people of Rivers State in terms of its politics now begin to take consequential actions? I think the president must be reminded that it's a dangerous precedent to disregard the provisions of the Constitution. But the Constitution envisages that when there is a breakdown of law and order, public order, or a semblance or a likelihood of a breakdown of public order, the governor himself can call on the president to declare a state of emergency so that, spirited actions can be taken to restore order. Now, the expectation is that states of emergency is as a result of, matters that have to do with security or that actually affect the, proper governance. In this case, so it may be as a result of a natural disaster. Let us not proceed on the wrong foundation. We do not need a sole administrator. There is an elected governor. It's an illegality. We don't have to repeat a wrong just because we have done it before. This morning, the headline on Daily Trust is that it's Governor Zulum acknowledging that Boko Haram is gaining ground in Borno State. Borno said Boko Haram is now in control of 3 local government areas. If the president were to declare a state of emergency there, it is because he wants to restore order, not to suspend the law. And then the governor who is elected has the political responsibility. Political power is very important. It comes only by the ballot box. And to take consequential decisions like appointment of, chairman or boards and all that, it's an aberration of the highest order. On a mission of confusion to exacerbate the troubling situation in Rivers State. And the president knows it now. And it's so administrator, things like a military man. There was really nothing that stopped the president for asking the chief of defense staff to move his men there to restore order. And then one can understand, because the chief of defense staff or any of the service chiefs, they have constitutional authority. But for goodness sake, a civilian from another state, from nowhere, and this is appointed as sole administrator, and then he begins to take political decisions, further annoying the people, creating a crisis in Rivers State. Fuba is the governor of Rivers State. The president is on a pathway of disregard. President Tinubu must agree and understand that he has the same powers of an executive president, just like the governor, because these powers are derivable from the Constitution. If the Constitution says, do not take over or govern any part of this federation except according to the provisions of the Constitution, Mr. President, would you want your powers also to be limited in any way with regards to your powers to govern this federation? You don't do that to a governor. And I will put my life on the line if anybody tries to, reduce the power of the president or take over the powers of the president against the provisions of the Constitution. I will do that for President Tinubu. Therefore, President Tinubu cannot sit as president under the powers of this Constitution and take away the powers of an elected governor. And everybody, with all of these people advising, everybody is quiet. We don't have to go to the street. That's why we elected people into the parliament. They are supposed to call the president to order. Now they are going to the Supreme Court. What will the Supreme Court say? And then the Supreme Court will state as it is. It now has a new posture of now washing his hands off political matters. So the Supreme Court will tell them and say, look, it's a matter for the National Assembly to decide, to delimit your powers when it has to do with state of emergency. Do not appoint a sole administrator. It is unknown. Restore the governor, tell the chief of defense staff to take necessary measures and restore whatever peace you want in Rivers State. The same thing you need to do in Borno State and the rest of this country that is seriously on the tenterhooks and teetering on terrible insecurity. We have an existential problem and survive it by disregarding openly the provisions of the Constitution. We must told the right path, and it's the path according to law.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio has filed a petition with the Inspector General of Police, calling for a comprehensive investigation and legal action against suspended Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpabio. The move comes in response to her recent public allegations that there was a plot to assassinate her. In the petition, which was also forwarded to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Akpabio described the accusations as criminally defamatory and urged swift legal measures to safeguard public order and ensure his personal security. Senator Akpabio had, during a homecoming address to her supporters, accused Akpabio and former Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello of conspiring to take her life. PDP governors have filed a suit at the Supreme Court challenging President Tinubu's decision to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. That's it for now, but I will be back with more updates as the story develops. If you found this report helpful, don't forget to like, share, and comment with your thoughts. Subscribe and follow to stay updated on all the latest news. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.